I mean, Pat, you're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. Let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times does she have to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she said on the show?
If you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
Sunny's dumb. Certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and it's nothing
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there.
What happens when a trusted voice of morality faces a scandal so shocking it threatens to tear down her carefully crafted image? Sunny Hostin, the outspoken co-host of The View, has built a reputation for calling out societal flaws and holding others accountable. But now it's her own household that's under the spotlight. Her husband, renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, is at the center of one of New York's largest ever RICO lawsuits. A case so massive it makes mob trials look tame. The allegations, insurance fraud, kickbacks, and unnecessary surgeries that may have put patient lives at risk, all for financial gain. This story isn't just about one man's alleged crimes. It's about the crumbling trust in two institutions we depend on, healthcare and the media. And as the courtroom drama unfolds, one question lingers. How much did Sunny know about her husband's alleged misdeeds? Buckle up, because this scandal is far from over.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
Sunny Hostin has long been a prominent figure on The View, known for her sharp opinions and moral authority. As a lawyer and journalist, she often speaks passionately about justice, equality, and accountability. Her bold critiques of societal flaws have earned her both praise and criticism, positioning her as a strong advocate for ethical behavior in the public eye. But here's the twist. While Sunny has spent years lecturing on morality and systemic failures, her own household is now under scrutiny. Her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, stands accused of being at the center of a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme that could shake the foundations of New York's medical industry. The irony isn't lost on her critics, who are quick to point out the stark contrast between her public persona and the allegations surrounding her husband. Adding fuel to the fire is Sunny's uncharacteristic silence. Typically vocal about controversial issues, she has refrained from addressing the scandal publicly. Is this a calculated move to protect her image, a sign of shock, or simply a legal necessity? As whispers of hypocrisy grow louder, fans and detractors alike are left wondering, is Sunny Hostin a victim of circumstances, or does her silence suggest complicity?
I want a citizen that has a policy. I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got a $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation? How about removing some of the podcasts that disseminate this misinformation?
They have.
And that's
Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, a highly regarded orthopedic surgeon, has spent years building a reputation as a skilled and compassionate medical professional. But now his career is overshadowed by allegations that have placed him at the heart of one of New York's most explosive legal cases. The lawsuit accuses Dr. Hostin of participating in a complex scheme involving insurance fraud, kickbacks, and unnecessary surgeries. At the center of the controversy is the RICO Act, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, typically used to target organized crime. In this case, it's not mobsters in the hot seat, but nearly 200 defendants, including Dr. Hostin, other doctors, and medical practices. Prosecutors claim that Dr. Hostin knowingly performed surgeries that weren't medically necessary and billed insurance companies for procedures that may never have occurred. Patients, many of whom were vulnerable individuals involved in minor accidents, allegedly became unwitting pawns in this elaborate financial scheme. The scale of the lawsuit is staggering, with allegations suggesting that millions of dollars were funneled through fraudulent practices. If proven true, this case could become one of the largest medical fraud scandals in U.S. history. For Dr. Hostin, the stakes couldn't be higher. His career, reputation, and freedom all hang in the balance as the courtroom battle begins to unfold. But one question looms large. Is Dr. Hostin a cunning mastermind of this alleged scheme, or is he another victim in a tangled web of systemic corruption? As the legal proceedings heat up, all eyes are on the evidence to reveal the truth.
It's always the people that always do the pointing, and it always comes back to them, all right? So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia case. Like the mafia one was number one. This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange for the kickback.
At the core of the scandal are shocking allegations that Dr. Emmanuel Hostin and his associates engaged in a scheme to exploit the healthcare system for personal gain. Prosecutors claim that Dr. Hostin performed unnecessary surgeries and fraudulently billed insurance companies for procedures that may never have been conducted. The accusations paint a picture of greed overshadowing the medical profession's most sacred duty, prioritizing patient well-being. The lawsuit alleges that Dr. Hostin and others targeted vulnerable patients, including taxi drivers, Uber, and Lyft employees involved in minor accidents. Instead of exploring non-invasive treatments, they were allegedly rushed into unnecessary surgeries. These procedures, such as arthroscopic surgeries on knees and shoulders, were billed at a premium to insurance companies under New York's no-fault insurance laws, which provide quick payouts for accident-related medical claims. Adding another layer to the accusations are claims of kickbacks, financial incentives allegedly paid to Dr. Hostin for recommending or performing these surgeries. Patients became pawns in a scheme that reportedly funneled millions into the hands of those involved. The implications are devastating. Imagine walking into a doctor's office, trusting the person who's supposed to heal you, only to find out later you were part of a financial ploy. This betrayal, if proven true, is more than just a violation of professional ethics. It's a breach of public trust. While Dr. Hostin and his legal team vehemently deny the allegations, calling the lawsuit baseless and a smear campaign by a financially troubled insurance company, the evidence presented in court will determine the truth. For now, the public is left grappling with a chilling question. How deep does this alleged corruption run, and how many lives were affected?
According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page 6, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer influenced and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers.
Dr. Emmanuel Hostin and his legal team are fighting back against the allegations, painting a very different picture of the situation. His attorney, Daniel Thwaites, has called the lawsuit meritless and a desperate attempt by American Transit Insurance Company, ADIC, to recover its financial losses. According to the defense, the case is less about uncovering fraud and more about a failing insurance company trying to deflect blame for its own struggles. The defense's strategy revolves around turning the spotlight onto ATIC, suggesting that the company is exploiting the legal system to avoid paying legitimate claims. Thwaites has argued that ATIC, teetering on the brink of financial collapse, is using this lawsuit as a smokescreen to cover its mismanagement and bad practices. By casting doubt on the motives of the plaintiffs, the defense hopes to undermine the credibility of the allegations. Dr. Hostin's team also emphasizes his long-standing commitment to patient care, portraying him as a compassionate surgeon who has spent years helping people in need. They argue that the procedures he performed were medically necessary and in the best interest of his patients, not part of any fraudulent scheme. Additionally, the defense points to the sheer scale of the lawsuit. Nearly 200 defendants are named as evidence of its overreach. They suggest that the broad nature of the accusations dilutes the credibility of the claims against any single individual, including Dr. Hostin. While the defense's arguments raise important questions about the motivations behind the lawsuit, they don't erase the troubling allegations. The courtroom will ultimately determine whether this is a case of systemic fraud or a desperate insurance company grasping at straws. For now, the legal battle is as much about public perception as it is about the facts, with both sides fighting to control the narrative.
I saw you on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies-infested hen house.
As news of the allegations broke, the story quickly became a lightning rod for media attention, drawing intense scrutiny from all corners. The combination of Sunny Hostin's public persona as a moral authority on The View and her husband's alleged involvement in a massive fraud case created a media storm that couldn't be ignored. Critics, including podcast giant Joe Rogan, were quick to pounce. Rogan didn't hold back, calling out what he saw as hypocrisy from Sunny Hostin, who has often taken the moral high ground on societal issues. He went so far as to roast The View, branding it as a rabies-infested hen house and questioning the credibility of its hosts. His harsh words resonated with his audience, adding fuel to the fire and amplifying the controversy. Social media has been ablaze with reactions, splitting public opinion. Some have defended Sunny, arguing that she shouldn't be held accountable for her husband's alleged actions. Others, however, have criticized her silence, questioning whether she knew more than she's letting on. Normally outspoken on controversial topics, her uncharacteristic quiet has only added to the speculation. Tabloids and news outlets have also latched onto the story, dissecting every detail of the case and Sunny's potential involvement, or lack thereof. Headlines juxtapose her television persona as a crusader for justice with the allegations against her husband, creating a narrative of shocking irony. As the legal battle unfolds, the media frenzy shows no signs of slowing down. Every twist and turn is being scrutinized, and public interest remains high. The question on everyone's mind is simple. Can Sunny Hostin maintain her image in the face of such damning accusations, or will this scandal mark the downfall of one of daytime TV's most prominent voices?
Her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit. Okay, now let's read this. Rob, is this a video?
Well, I have this. I'll show you this about.
Let me just read this and I'll come to you. So, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow. Hostin's attorney, Daniel Twites, denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread insurance.
This scandal extends far beyond Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, Sunny Hostin, or the accusations leveled in court. It's a spotlight on deeper systemic flaws in two industries that are critical to everyday life: healthcare and insurance. At its core, the allegations bring up uncomfortable truths about how profit motives can undermine the trust patients place in the very systems meant to safeguard their health and well-being. The accusations suggest that Dr. Hostin and others exploited loopholes in the healthcare system for financial gain, performing surgeries that may not have been medically necessary, and billing insurance companies for procedures that never happened. If these claims are substantiated, it reveals a troubling pattern where patient welfare becomes secondary to financial incentives. The mere idea that someone could be put under the knife, not because they need surgery, but because it's profitable for the provider, is nothing short of horrifying. It challenges the fundamental trust that patients place in their doctors, trust that their health and not profit is the priority. But the case isn't just about unethical medical practice. practices. It also raises questions about the role of insurance companies in perpetuating these issues. American Transit Insurance, the plaintiff in this case, has a history of allegations against it, including underpaying doctors and denying legitimate claims. Some argue that this lawsuit may be more about addict deflecting attention from its own mismanagement and financial woes than about exposing fraud. If that's true, it suggests a disturbing reality where even the institutions meant to protect patients are complicit in the erosion of trust. The lawsuit might be less about justice and more about a desperate attempt by an insurance company to recover its losses. On a broader scale, the scandal forces a reckoning with the state of healthcare in America. The allegations highlight systemic vulnerabilities, such as the ease with which fraud can occur under the guise of legitimate medical care. They also raise questions about the effectiveness of regulatory oversight and the incentives that drive decisions in the healthcare system. If procedures are being performed not because they're necessary, but because they're lucrative, it indicates a deeply flawed system where financial gain takes precedence over patient care. Beyond healthcare, the case also reveals how public trust is shaped and often broken by scandals of this magnitude. When trusted figures like Dr. Hostin are implicated in a lawsuit of this scale, it tarnishes the reputation of an entire profession. Similarly, Sunny Hostin's involvement, even if only by association, has turned this legal battle into a media spectacle, making it harder to focus on the deeper issues at play. Her silence has fueled speculation, with some questioning whether she knew about her husband's alleged activities, while others view her as another victim of the scandal's fallout. The media frenzy surrounding the case also raises concerns about how public perception can be shaped by sensationalism. Headlines have juxtaposed Sunny Hostin's public persona as a crusader for justice with the allegations against her husband, creating a narrative of irony and hypocrisy. But as the story unfolds, it's essential to look beyond the headlines and consider the broader implications of the case. This scandal also brings into question the relationship between profit and ethics. The allegations against Dr. Hostin suggest a prioritization of financial gain over patient care, a dynamic that erodes the foundational principles of medicine. Meanwhile, the insurance industry's involvement raises the possibility that financial pressures and corporate mismanagement are as much a part of the problem as the alleged fraudulent activities. Ultimately, the case highlights a broader societal issue: the fragility of trust in institutions. When patients feel they can't trust their doctors or the companies insuring them, it undermines the entire healthcare system. People rely on these institutions to act in their best interest, and when that trust is broken, it's difficult to restore. Whether Dr. Hostin is ultimately found guilty or exonerated, the impact of this case will be felt far and wide. It's a stark reminder of how vulnerable patients are in a system where money often matters more than care. This legal battle may be about one man and his alleged actions, but the issues it raises extend to everyone who relies on healthcare to live a safe and healthy life. As the courtroom drama continues, it's clear that this story isn't just about one scandal. It's about the very foundation of trust in healthcare and whether that trust can ever be fully repaired. The allegations against Dr. Emmanuel Hostin and the ensuing media firestorm surrounding Sunny Hostin have created a scandal that extends far beyond the individuals involved. At its heart, this case exposes deeper cracks in two of society's most critical institutions, healthcare and media. It's a sobering reminder of how quickly public trust can be eroded when profit motives overshadow ethical responsibilities. For Dr. Hostin, the stakes couldn't be higher. If the accusations of insurance fraud, unnecessary surgeries, and kickbacks are proven, it could mark one of the largest betrayals in the history of medical practice. Yet his defense insists that this is a baseless attack from a struggling insurance company attempting to salvage its own financial woes. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the evidence yet to unfold in the courtroom. Sunny Hostin's role in the public narrative adds another layer of complexity: her silence, unusual for someone so vocal on matters of justice and accountability, has raised questions about her awareness or involvement, even indirectly, in the scandal. While some see her as a victim of circumstance, others view her silence as calculated, leaving the public to speculate about the implications for her carefully curated image as a moral authority. But this story isn't just about a high-profile couple or a sensational lawsuit. It's about the deeper, systemic issues that the case has brought to light. How much of our healthcare system is driven by care for the patient, and how much by the pursuit of profit? How can we trust insurance companies when they are just as embroiled in controversy seriously as the medical professionals they accuse? These are the uncomfortable questions this scandal forces us to confront. As the legal battle continues, one thing is clear: this is more than just a courtroom drama. It's a wake-up call to examine the flaws in systems we rely on every day. Whether Dr. Hostin is guilty or innocent, this case is already shaping up to be a watershed moment, exposing uncomfortable truths about healthcare, trust, and ethics in America. For now, all we can do is watch as the story unfolds, each twist and turn revealing new details about a scandal that has captivated public attention. Will this be a story of justice served, or yet another example of systemic failure? One thing is certain: the final verdict will carry implications far beyond the courtroom walls, leaving a lasting impact on how we view the institutions meant to protect us.